Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another JaruJaruJ, oh, God, that's a mouthful, reaction. So yeah, I know it's been a little bit since I did a reaction to one of Jaru's videos, mainly because anybody who's been keeping up with my channel knows that I was having some technical difficulties. Thankfully, those are fixed now, so I can finally get back onto some regularly scheduled programming, as it were. So this is Des is Ness, and some other people. And fun fact, this was originally going to be the first Jaru video I was going to react to, and less than a minute in, they started talking about, the previous video that they did, talking about how Des is Chris, and all that sort of stuff, and they got into the music video that Toby helped work on, all that sort of stuff. So, needless to say, I'm kind of excited to finally get into this video that I was originally going to start this whole reaction series on, but hey, no time like the present, as it were. So yeah, I mean, even just by the thumbnail, this one, I mean, obviously they're in on the joke, the whole, Sans' Ness joke. I mean, they even have, like, I think what is supposed to be Des dressed up like Ness from Earthbound, I'm actually kind of wondering how many times they're going to reference the game theory video. Actually, if I remember, I may try to put a counter in the corner just to see how many times, if it's worth it. You never know. So yeah, of course, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day, and if you have any suggestions for future reactions, you can of course leave them in the comment section below, or leave them on my Discord server, also linked in my description. And with all that out of the way, let's get this thing actually started then, shall we?
Hello, my name is Jaru, and today I'm talking about Deltarune. There will be major spoilers for both Deltarune and Undertale, so please play them both before watching this. During my exploration of pixel art and legends of localization, I've had a whole new batch of theories and ideas bubbling to the surface. And the one that I think is perhaps the most interesting is also the most meme-worthy. Sans is Ness, for all its silliness, actually connected a few dots that might have greater meaning than we initially realized. The only issue is in its conclusion. Sans is most certainly not Ness, but there may be another character who is. This theory is a continuation of my Chris is Des video, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Link is in the description. And even if this topic...
So obviously, that's the reason why I then went over and watched the other video. But also just based on what the other video was talking about, they're obviously not talking about, Des being Ness literally. Though I do want to see how they connect Des to Ness. Because granted, apart from like Super Smash Bros., I don't know that much about Ness. I've never played any of the Earthbound games. Mainly because they were a bit before my time. Being born in 1995 will do that to you. And I didn't have the chance to really play them on like a virtual console or anything. Because during the majority of the time during like, say like the Wii era, I didn't really have money. I didn't like the idea of having to ask my parents for their credit card info to do on the stuff because they were like weary about it and I didn't want to try to explain it to them. Like it was a hard enough hassle for getting them to buy me Minecraft back in the day. But yeah, we're not even a minute in. Let's get back on this horse.
Doesn't interest you, I'd still recommend sticking around, as this is all leading towards something far bigger than anything you are expecting. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see the channel stay up and running, please consider supporting me on Ko-fi or Patreon. Through Ko-fi, you can make one-time donations and work towards fun donation goals. For example, we're very close to reaching our goal of me doing a blind playthrough and video on One Shot. Alternatively, if you'd like to get occasional sneak peeks at my videos and support the channel more consistently, consider supporting me on Patreon. Both options go a long way towards keeping this channel up and running and really help bring financial stability to my life. With all that said, please enjoy today's theory. Let's get the obvious clickbait out of the way. Ness
obvious
is
clickbait
not
is
in
obvious.
Undertale or Deltarune, at least not in the literal sense. It's fun to meme on this idea, but it's simply not true. These are different games in different universes that
with
do
different
not
creators.
overlap. However, while Ness himself does not appear, there may be a character heavily inspired by him that does. Toby Fox has always been highly transparent about how influential Earthbound was on Undertale and Deltarune, and I think there's one character who checks more Ness boxes than anybody else. You've seen the thumbnail, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's Des.
Des is heavily based on Ness, and the consequences for this are what I wish to discuss. But first, let's prove just how similar these characters are. We'll start with a quick rundown of Ness's attributes. Ness is a teenage human boy whose primary weapon is a baseball bat, and his main armor is a baseball hat. He also possesses psychic powers. He is very brave, cheerful, and makes friends easily. He has a father who cares a lot about him and manages his son's finances, but is always away on business. He also has a stay-at-home mother who is very supportive of his adventures. Ness has a younger sister named Tracy who is very pleasant and is responsible enough to hold down a job. And most notably, Ness leaves his hometown to go on a magical adventure to save the world. Let's compare all of that to Des. Des is believed to be a teen
Again, that is a
young
very nice
adult.
sprite.
She is a monster, presumably a deer of some kind, and she is referred to as a girl. She is...
Yeah, I mean, all checks out. Though uses wiffle ball equipment. I don't remember that, though granted, it's been a while since I played Deltarune. Actually, thinking about it, I think my original save might have been, like, deleted or something. So I'm gonna probably have to play through chapters 1 and 2 in the demo again, just so, like, if and when chapter 3 and 4 are dropped, I can, you know, play through them as soon as possible. Okay, but also, like, has magic. Have we... Thinking about it, I've kind of forgotten. Have we seen any of the monsters use magic or have the ability to use magic outside of the Dark World? Because I remember that being a thing where people were questioning whether monsters had magic anymore, or at least in Deltarune if they did. Because you see in Deltarune, like, Susie can't do magic, and Rowsey teaches her to do healing magic. I mean, granted, not the best healing magic, but still it's something.
Is known to use a wiffle bat, which is effectively a plastic baseball bat, and she's implied to play the guitar. She is also implied to exist in the Undertale reality, where she would have magical powers on account of being a monster. She would also have magical powers if she visited the Dark World in Deltarune. Given her enjoyment of sports, as well as her tendency to stick up for Noelle and even smack Chris around, it's possible that Des is something of a tomboy. Even so, her friendship with Chris and Asriel and her efforts to comfort Noelle suggest that she is at least a somewhat pleasant and kind person. Des has a mother who likely cares about her, although she's a rather cold and distant figure who is often busy running the town. Des's father is not known to have a job, so he may be a stay-at-home dad, and he's definitely the more kind and supportive of her parents. Des also has a younger sister named Noelle, who is very smart, kind, sweet, and responsive.
So yeah, I mean, already, like, a lot of those, I mean, apart from, you know, gender and species, I mean, obviously, like, a lot of those are either the same or very, very closely connected. So, I mean, there's obviously a lot of parallels going on here already, and we haven't even met the character officially yet.
The location of Des is currently unknown, with the implication being that she is missing. This could mean that she ran away from home and is no longer living in the hometown, although where she went and why she left are currently unknown. When looked at side by side, the similarities between Ness and Des are pretty blatant. Their names are literally one letter apart. They both love baseball.
Well, nickname at the very least. I'm, you know, obviously, you know, like, Des is short for December, but, you know, actually, wait, what is the dad's name? Because Noel Holiday, December Holiday. Do we know the dad's name yet? Rudy. His name's Rudy? Okay, Rudolph. Wait, actually, his sprite, doesn't it have a red nose? Oh my god, he actually has a red nose. Okay. How did I not notice that before?
They both have supernatural powers, and while Des is a girl, she's described in a very tomboyish way. In fact, given the way their parents are characterized, it could be argued that Des and her family are all gender-swapped and species-swapped versions of Ness and his family. They both have one parent who is an absent professional, one parent who is a homemaker, and one younger sibling who is supportive and responsible. Admittedly, Noelle and Tracy are both girls, so the gender swap angle doesn't work perfectly, but they are both blonde, young, responsible women who wore ribbons in their hair as children. It's also possible that Des has black hair like Rudy, just as Ness does. Also, the gender swap angle may still be intact if you argue that Noelle is transgender, which is an idea with more evidence than you would expect. I won't get into it here, but there's pills in an unused version of her bedroom, and she's designed in a way very reminiscent of white-tailed deer, of which only the males have antlers. It's unknown if Noelle's mother has antlers, and this line from Sans almost seems to imply Des does not have antlers, which lends credence to this line of thought. Also, this is a Toby Fox game, so, you know, it wouldn't be the strangest reveal. Regardless, both Ness and Des then leave their hometowns during the events of their respective games, so the similarities between them are pretty numerous. However, there were some areas where they didn't perfectly match up.
Of course,
Des plays the guitar, but Ness is not known to play any instrument. We are likely to learn the names of both of Des's parents, while the names of Ness's parents remain a mystery. Ness went on an adventure to save the world, whereas we don't know why or how Des disappeared. There's also the question of Des's Dark World design. Ness only wears one outfit, so what would be the inspiration for her other design? Rest assured, I have answers to these questions. This is where we get to one of the more interesting branches of this theory. You see, there are two other notable characters who I believe were inspirations for Des. The first is Ninten. For those who don't know, Ninten was the protagonist of Mother 1, which was the game that came before Earthbound.
Wait, okay, so seriously, are you telling me that this guy right here is not literally just Ness? Like, how, he's a separate character. I mean, apart from his pants being off kilter, I mean, what? I mean, I know Earthbound, I know Earthbound was Mother 2, but I wouldn't have thought, I thought it would just been like a rename. You'd think they were the same character.
He is so similar to Ness that the creator left it open to fan interpretation how they were connected or if they were potentially the same person. And from Ninten, we find a few more noteworthy additions to the similarity chart. Ninten has younger sisters who wear their hair in pigtails, just as Noelle did when she was younger. Ninten has a love for the electric guitar, just as Des does for the acoustic. And perhaps most notably of all, we actually know the name of Ninten's mother. And this was the detail that really...
His name is Ninten. Nintendo. Yes! You know, sometimes I love Nintendo, but other times it's just...
really got me excited. Do you know what the name of Des's mother is? The mayor of the hometown? We don't know for certain, but it's believed to start with the letter C, as evidenced by this letter sent to Asgore. And given that the entire holiday family is named after Christmas stuff, it's believed that Des's mother is called Carol. This would...
Okay, I was gonna talk about this later, or like just asking like what could potentially be her name, like being Christmas, being Christmas themed Carol. I mean, that's really good. I was also going to say like I was also going to say something like Holly or something like that. I don't ever remember seeing that message though, so that might have been one of those things I accidentally skimmed over while I was playing.
Align with Christmas carols while also being a regular name. And can you guess what the name of Ninten's mother is? If you guess Carol, then you're absolutely right.
Oh my god.
Given Ninten and Ness's similarities, it makes sense that Toby would draw from both when designing his own Ness-inspired character. Of course, he'd also want to make some changes to his original character in order to spin them into something unique.
Oh no. Des is an OC!
This, I suspect, was his motivation for swapping the gender, species, and role of Des. Ness was the protagonist and a human boy, while Des is a side character and a monster girl. However, there's one big addition to Des that doesn't match Ness or Ninten. Des is missing. As such, the question becomes, how do we tie that back to the Mother series?
Well, I mean, granted, I've never actually played any of the Mother games, so I might be a little wrong here. But, I mean, I could very easily say that, I mean, while they're off on an adventure, the people back home have no idea where they've gone, so it's like they've gone missing. Could be. I mean, it could literally be just as simple as that.
Well, as it just so happens, Toby Fox has already written his own Earthbound fanfiction in which Ness goes missing.
Oh god, yeah, I forgot about that. I think it's like a ROM hack or something, right? And god, I'm trying to remember. It was talked about in like the game theory episode, talking about about like Sans being Ness. Oh god, it's been so long since I watched that episode. It had something to do with Ness and his friends on their adventure. They had to like time travel, but they couldn't do it in their organic bodies. So they had to have their minds put into robots or something like that. And in his ROM hack, like the time travel went wrong or something.
That's right, we're going full game theory on this one. Let's talk about the Earthbound Halloween hack. This bizarre little fan game was made by Toby Fox, and it follows the original characters from Earthbound going on a strange journey. The game is something Toby Fox has tried to distance himself from, although it's still a very worthwhile resource for us. Why? Because it gives us further insight into the themes and concepts Toby Fox is interested in exploring. One such idea that we know Toby was interested in was this. Ness is completely absent from this game. We don't know how or why, but he's not here, and you instead play as a character from Brandish, a completely different game series. As such, thanks to this, we now know that the idea of having Ness be mysteriously absent from the story is something Toby has been thinking about for a while. It stands to reason that this idea may have later been integrated into Des and her story. This also conveniently ties one of her seemingly unique traits right back to Ness. Ness was absent in the Halloween hack, Des is absent in Deltarune. But that's not all. You see, I know what you're thinking. Ness is a hero who saved the world by going on a magical adventure. Isn't that pretty different from Des, who is just a normal girl? That would be an issue for this comparison if it weren't for my last Des video.
Right.
As you may recall, I theorized in my Skies Forever Blue theory that the girl from that video provides some hints as to the fate of Des. By the end, I concluded that Des did in fact go on a quest to save the world, just like this girl and just like Ness. The only difference was, instead of traveling around the world, Des went to a new world, a dark world. And in that dark world, she attempted to find a method to stop the roaring. Feel free to check out that video for more details, but TLDR, I believe the evidence already leads us to believe that Des was a hero intent on saving the world, which makes the Ness similarities even more numerous.
Which, again, kind of goes back to what I said before about, while you're gone on your adventure, nobody knows where you've gone.
But that's not all. If Des went to the dark world, then that would mean she'd have a new design in said dark world. And as you recall from my previous video, I've already theorized what that design would look like. At the time, I guessed that she would wear an outfit similar to that of the girl in the music video, namely a pink and white dress with a big ribbon in her hair.
She also loses 2 feet of height.
But upon further research, I've now realized that there's an Earthbound character who matches this description perfectly. This is Paula. She is the female companion of Ness, and is the character I think Toby drew inspiration from when writing the Dark World narrative of Des. Design-wise, Paula also wears a pink and white dress with a bow in her hair, but more important is her story. Paula's story begins with her being imprisoned by a villain. As a result, she has to use her psychic powers to call out to Ness, asking him to come and rescue her. This is very similar to Des, who I've theorized has been trapped in some
the game's
sort of
code.
dark world. And what has she been doing in said dark world? She has been leaving messages in the code calling out for help. This idea of blending some of Paula's attributes into Des in order to further distinguish her from Ness makes perfect sense, and it further strengthens the strings connecting Des to the Mother series. Now, at this point, everyone who is going to buy this Des Earthbound connection has already bought it, and I can't do much to convince the rest of you. However, regardless of whether you believe this theory or not, all of you are likely thinking the same thing. So what? Maybe Des is inspired by Ness, Ninten, and Paula. Toby loves Earthbound, so it's not a big reach, but why does it matter? What does this revelation tell us about Deltarune, even if it is true? The answer, my dear viewers, is everything.
Oh, really? What is that?
This analysis as a way of making a somewhat silly but ultimately sincere theory about the inspirations behind Des as a character. But in the process of analyzing Undertale, Deltarune, Earthbound, and the Halloween hack, I believe I've unlocked the door. I have had a major revelation. I now understand this web of stories in a way I've never understood it before. Several of my older theories now have glaring flaws, and several others now have humongous potential. Analyzing Des was fun, but the real boon was how this helped me understand Toby Fox. And with this newfound insight,
there's too many.
I do believe I have all the pieces necessary to tackle a much bigger fish. A missing hero. A taciturn protagonist who is out of place. A time machine that went horribly wrong. A multiverse of alternate realities and parallel stories. And at the heart of it all, a mad scientist. Everything is sliding into place. All the inspirations, characters, and projects have been building towards one climactic theory. A theory that answers some of the oldest mysteries in Toby Fox history, while also explaining plot points that you never even thought to question. What is Sans? Who is Papyrus? Where do the prophecies come from? Why
what do you mean by
the Earth
what is Sans?
to die? And how did he pull it all off? It's time to take on the big boy. It's time for Gaster. Or to be more precise, it's time for Gaster's multiverse plan. A theory I will be showcasing in a future video.
Of course.
I hope you guys enjoyed.
Oh, Jaru, I hate you now. But honestly, has that theory come out yet? Yeah, it hasn't come out yet. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to see, aren't we? So yeah, what else connections? Having never played Mother before, a lot of these connections would have been just absolutely, like, granted, that's saying if they actually are real connections. A lot of these would have been, like, absolutely just unthinkable to me. Well, I know what the Undertale and Deltarune communities being, fairly open. The whole thing about if Noelle actually is, like, a trans character, it won't be an issue. At the same time, I have to wonder if she actually is, because as Jaru said, the pills were on a scrapped version. So maybe at one point in development, it was supposed to be revealed that Noelle was trans, but that was changed, though I don't know why they would do that. But also, like, at the same time, there's two of these facts, which, again, I am not, like, disparaging, like, adding trans characters to, like, media at all. But, like, it's a lot... I find that people tend to jump towards that, like, without taking in, not facts, potential sources, yeah, because... I mean, there are species of deer where the females grow horns as well. Like, oh god, what are they? Like, what was it? Caribou. I think, yeah, female caribou grow horns. But wait, are caribou a type of deer? Actually, I'm sorry, I'm having to do all sorts of, like, different research for this. Oh yeah, caribou and reindeer are the same animal. So there you go. And you'd think that, you know, with Noelle and her family being, you know, so Christmas themed, that they would be reindeer, not white-tailed deer, given that, you know, Santa sleigh was pulled by reindeer. Though, I mean, there is also the whole thing that is that they're not actual, you know, reindeer, they're monsters that look like them. I mean, I'd hesitate to say that, you know, Toriel and Asgore have a lot of the same characteristics as goats, just because they're white and have long floppy ears. But that was literally neither here nor there. Where was I going with that? Yeah, literally nowhere, sorry. So yeah, again, another, oh god, there's so many, Jaru does have like a playlist of all their theories, so that's one of those things I'm gonna have to just slowly make my way through. Even if their older theories are kind of out of date or wrong at this point, it's always just good to have something to look at. Which, yeah, I guess we'll have that out of the way. Of course, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.